just a little bit about Speaker Express. So actually, it started in 2011. It became a business in 2013, and we used to be called Pony Express Speakers Club, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. And really what happened was Anik, the co-founder, she kept going to all these trainings, and she felt that there was never a place for people to practice. You keep doing 5 days, and they're like, thank you, they boot you out, and that's it, you're done, right? And then you need to do another 5 days, and then there's a big gap. So she said, okay, what if we founded and created a place for people to come and practice speaking? So she did that, we did that together. Very clever, right? She's a very clever lady. Yeah. And then after 2 years, she kept getting fired from her job, and I just said, look, Anik, why don't we turn this into a business? I think there's a business here. You clearly don't want those jobs. Let's turn this into a business. And we did. So 2013 is when it really became a business. And since then, we've worked across the UK with various organizations and various entrepreneurs from different walks of life. But here's the thing. We started, our very first Speaker Express was in a stinky pub in Kentish Town that you went down the stairs and your feet stuck to the stairs. And then does anyone know that kind of place? Anyone been to a walkabout? Yeah, that kind of, yeah. And it's sticking to like, yeah. You went and it stunk. It smelt of dead people. Literally, it was so smelly. We were like, we can never use this again. And actually, apparently a few years later, it got closed down for hygiene reasons. But not because we were there. But that was the beginning of Speaker Express. And then we rebranded a couple of years ago because what we got from our audience, from our avatar, from our market, was that it doesn't relate. It feels like we're mussing around, we're not taking it seriously, and that's why we changed the name from Pony Express Speakers Club to Speaker Express in that respect. So today's all about the 5 stories that every entrepreneur needs to tell. But let me tell you this, it's a bit about branding, it's about storytelling, but the companies that dominate industries are the companies, bless you, means it's true, are the companies that put their customers at the front of everything. Bless you. Again, it means it's true. Do you know that? If someone sneezes after a statement, it means it's true. Just so you know that. Hello. So for those of you who want to increase or want to win over, if you make your customer the hero, then you're more likely to increase your revenue. And that's been proven time and time again. Everybody that you've mentioned pretty much puts their customer first. It might not feel that way. Amazon, driven by the customer. Apple, driven by their user. Virgin, all about customer experience, whether it feels like it or not, if you're trying to book a train on Virgin, right? But that's what they're driven by. And even the smaller industries, the smaller enterprises, it's about putting your customer first. And that's really when you start to dominate and own an industry. It takes time, of course, but that's how you monetize a great deal more. Bless you, means it's true. See, you're going to get this eventually. These are some of the companies we had the pleasure of working with. We've talked about these. So today I'm going to cover 5 key stories. 1 is the pitch, 2 is your personal story, 3 is the business origins, case studies, and vision. Of course, there's other stories, but these are the 5 key stories that every entrepreneur needs to be able to tell. Which one jumps out at you more than anything? Which one appeals to you more than anything?
Personal story.
Personal story? Pitch? Huh? Vision? Yeah? One more. None of them?
Case study.
Case study? Huh?
Personal story.
Personal story, great. There's no right or wrong, by the way. So when we come to pitch, here's the interesting thing. A lot of people don't think of their pitch as a story. And we've been working with this guy called Julian Cook, who runs a company called How Am I Going, which develops software that gives feedback to employees. So it's an HR software. And he worked at Goldman Sachs. And he's seen pitches as well as pitched. And when he came to us, he really understood that actually the best way to pitch to enroll investors was to tell his pitch through a story. And that's what he did. So instead of going, here's my idea, here's my concept, here's how I pitch it, he actually go, you know what, I'm from Goldman Sachs, and what happened to me one day is I showed up, I got feedback, it sucked, it made me feel like shit, I'm giving you the abbreviated version, right? I quit Goldman Sachs, I went traveling, I realized there's got to be a better way to give feedback. I then started to investigate and learn about software and how we can do it. I devised this software, and now what I do is I work with companies around the world to make people feel good about feedback. That's the condensed version. So he's taking his pitch and turning it into a story. He uses emotions, and as a result of that, he's enrolled investors. Recently, he's raised almost £1 million through using a story to pitch versus a standard pitch. A, it got him to stand out. B, is more interesting. C, there was more emotional connection. Yeah, and this also happened with Deepak, who went on to Dragon's Den. Does anyone know Deepak Taylor from mylatestfreestuff.com? Yeah, so he again, and even if you Google it, he told, while he was pitching at Dragons on BBC, he was using the story of the customer experience to pitch. Far more interesting than your standard pitching. Who remembers Levi Roots' pitch?
Yes.
Yeah, what's the first thing he did?
Played his guitar.
He played his guitar, right? He then told the story about his grandma's recipes, or is his mama's recipe? Someone's recipe. Can't remember exactly. Someone, grandmama. And he told that, and he's like, I wanted to capture it, and da-da-da. Again, using a story to pitch gets you to stand out, is more enrolling. Of course, you need to know your numbers, your figures, all that. I'm not saying you don't. But the more you can tell your pitch or pitch through story, the more you enroll your audience as well. So just be aware of that. Again, there's different horses for different courses here. Know when to use what, but a lot of people think of pitching as standard old school. Here's my idea, here's the market, here's the pain it's solving, here's how much, here's what you get, which is okay in certain situations, but also think of it differently. How can you tell the story of your pitch?
So I think I did that today. I sort of set the context by creating a bigger picture. You know, it's that bigger picture story of
Yeah, good.
how we fit in, could work together on this journey.
Good. And I hope it worked. You know, I do. It's good. It's a very, you'll find out Friday, there we go. It is a different way of approaching it, but that's one thing. And a lot of people don't think of that as a pitch, do they? They're like, oh, I'll just pitch, versus being creative about it. Yeah, again, Angela Malik here, who told you she was a chef, and what she does, actually she wants to use technology to help world hunger, and so she's always using the story to pitch her concept versus talking about here's my app concept. And that actually got her invited to talks in New York, and then got her to talk in front of the mayor of New York, because she's using story to pitch versus pitching. Second one, personal story. What do we know about personal story? Tell me what you think personal story. What's personal story?
This is what you just said about this guy. He's telling us his personal story, not the software, but how he reached
Which guy?
this
Deepak?
idea. This is Goldman Sachs guy. This
Oh.
is a personal story.
It's a little bit, but he's actually pitching the concept and how he arrived there. We don't know anything about Julian except he was fired. Except he left Goldman Sachs. So I get what you're saying. Huh?
This is personal.
That part, but the rest is about that. Yes, there's an element, but this is properly going deep into it. You're not wrong, yes.
Is it basically telling who you're pitching to, who you're about, what you're like, so they need to get to know you as a personal person, and then you're transparent and you've got a personal connection with them, and they can trust you to work with you.
Absolutely.
It's the why.
Not yet. We're getting there. You're right. It leads to the why. You're absolutely on the money. I know where you're going with this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? You're on the money. The personal story would lead to your big why. But it's not the why. And these are distinguishable. So follow the thread with me for a little bit, okay? But I get where you're going. It definitely leads to the why. So yes, in the sense of, hey, I used to be here. This is what happened to me. Now I do this, which is why I do this. Yes. But this, in the sense here, we're separating out the big why as a different story. Does that make sense to you?
Keep going on, just
Okay. Does that make sense to you guys? Are you following the thread? So it can lead to this is why I do what I do today, but we are considering your big why, i.e. your vision, as something as a separate story when we teach this. No right or wrong, it's just, yeah, how we do things. So yeah, personal story. So depending on who you're talking to, you won't necessarily always use a personal story to pitch. But when you're speaking, when you're using speaking to grow your business, who do people buy from?
People.
People. What's the most enrolling way to enroll someone into what you do, how you do it? Your story, your personal story, right? Who has more followers, Elon Musk or Tesla? Elon Musk. Yeah? Richard Branson or Virgin? Branson, because people buy into his story. Who mentioned Virgin, right? They buy into Richard Branson, therefore they buy into Virgin. And a lot of us know his personal story. So that's a really important aspect as an entrepreneur. You've got to be able to articulate your personal story. It's a must. Yeah, you don't have to fall in. You know, it depends what you do. You certainly don't have to fall on the floor as a babbling mess and oh my God, my life was so bad, unless it's appropriate. Do you see what I mean? If it's appropriate for your audience and the product, that's great. But it's not always appropriate for, let's say, Julian to talk about what he went through or the depression he might have gone through or something like that. He doesn't let on too much about his personal stuff when he's talking about the pitch. But when you hear him speak about his journey, he talks a lot more about his personal stuff. So it's knowing when to choose what. Making sense? So we've had, the first one was your pitch, and the second one is your personal journey. Did you want to ask something? No, I thought you wanted. Okay, is your personal story. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Yep. The third part is, of course, your obstacles. And now we're into your business ideas. Now, I know it said why, but I'm separating the big why, and I'll explain that in a minute. So this is your business idea. This is what we're talking about. And I talked about Speaker Express, how it was born. Why are you running a business? How did it come from? Where did it start? So you talked about Steve Jobs in the garage, right? That's the business origin idea. Yeah? I think you spoke about Innocent. Where is it? Stay there. Right? Why did you choose Innocent?
Great brand story. The first one's really to bring a level of transparency to their brand, put it all over their packaging. Now everyone does that, that's standard.
And they disrupted the industry.
Big time, yeah.
What did they tell? They said...
They had an ethical story.
Yeah. And they were told, either we'll destroy you or we'll buy you. Right? He's like, right, bring it on. He absolutely set out to disrupt the industry. Yeah, so Innocent, a lot of us know the brand origin idea. And that's really like, where did the idea for the business start? Where did it go? How did it develop? And we hear about this all the time. Yeah, and again, when you're building a brand, people relate to your brand through the stories you're able to tell about the brand. Whether it's your personal story, your business origin idea, and how you pitch it. Yeah? So far, so good? Any questions? So the reason Pony Express is up there is when Anik was founding Pony Express Speaker Club, she chose the Pony Express story because she felt it represented public speaking. Because the original story of the Pony Express was that was the way you would get letters across the USA. So you would literally cross the US on a pony to deliver a letter. Most people died, lost their lives, or weren't able to arrive there, which is what we felt was a great metaphor for public speaking.
But then you die on the way.
No one's died from public speaking, I can officially say. But do you see what I mean? A lot of people would never dare to go on that journey because of everything that could go wrong. That's why we started that. So that was the story behind that, and then that's where Pony Express grew to become Speaker Express. So that's your business idea, and then the fourth story you must be able to tell is success stories, right? Of your business, of your brand, of your service, of you as a person. Yeah, again, people buy into results. They'll buy you, but they'll still buy in results. People can like you, doesn't mean they'll buy from you. But if you can actually tell the story of results and success and how you got there, it's like a bell going off in the background there. It's like someone's ringing you to tell you you're going to be successful. Isn't that right, Rashma?
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, so it's true.
Yes, exactly. So articulating your success stories is another one of the key stories you've got to be able to share. Yeah? Because if you think about why you buy from someone, you normally buy because of convenience, results. They solve a pain or they give you pleasure. Their product or their service. Yes? So far so good? You guys seem very deep in thought. That's good. I'm glad I'm getting you to think. This is the why. You see, to me, I know you said the personal story has the why. To me, this is another story, your big why. Your vision, to me, stands slightly separate from the personal story, in my opinion. You can disagree, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. Do you see what I mean? This is really like what you stand for on the big picture. What's your vision for the world? What's your vision for the product on a global scale? This is one of the fundamental stories you've got to be able to tell as an entrepreneur. Whether you're a disruptor in the technology place, and I know in investment circles you're not allowed to use disruptor anymore. They hate it, yeah, because everyone's using it and they're going, well, are you really disruptive or are you just doing something slightly different? No, we're disruptive. No, you're really not. You know, investors wised up to that. Right? But you're relating to that because you know what I'm talking about. But this is like what you stand for. What's your big vision? And it doesn't have to be to change the world. That's fine. Even for your industry, what's your vision for your industry, for your company? How does it tie into the big goal? And that's really something you must be able to articulate. Because again, that's something that will enroll people. All these 5 stories as an entrepreneur are designed, obviously from an authentic and real place, to enroll your ideal audience, to get them to want to buy into you. Some people are big picture thinkers, so they want to know what your vision is. Have you ever sat down with someone, a potential investor or someone who want to work with you, and they go, tell me, what's your vision? You're like, well, yeah?
Why should we invest in you?
Why should we invest in you? What's the big picture? Yeah, absolutely. And some people go, so tell me, how did you end up here? Well, this happened to me and this happened to me, so I did this. Yeah, people relate to different stories at different times. So your ability to tell them is really, really important, whether you're at the beginning or already up and running. Stories are one of the greatest ways to communicate. And the more you can communicate the different types, the more you attract your audience. Yeah? What does Steve Jobs stand for? Besides design. Innovation. Yeah? Warren Buffett, what does he stand for? Who knows?
Long-term.
Yes. But he'll only invest in companies that have solid long-term strategies and solid people. Yeah? Martin Luther King? Quality, non-violent protest, and civil rights. Yeah? Big picture stuff. Huh? Sorry? No, did you want to say? That's okay. What I'd love you to do right now is taking this on board. Just turn to the person next to you and just share with them what you stand for. Yeah, don't have to go into a big, like, I had a dream, you know. Just share very quickly what is it you stand for. You know what? I'll tell you what I stand for, right? My big vision is to help people have tools to deal with in a conflict. I would love to find the way for there to be less conflict in this world, especially at this time which is highly conflicted. That's my big why. If I scale it down, I'm driven by 2 things: to be a great dad and a great husband. That's all that drives me. But my big thing, my big goal is to give people tools to have less inner conflict. Now, how does it relate to public speaking? That's a different conversation. But everything I do is about that. The whole methodology is actually about you being less conflicted and able to communicate better, therefore able to impact better, therefore able to go out there, make a change in your industry, therefore help people's lives for the better. Do you see how that still ties into my big picture, even though I'm doing this? Making sense? So just turn to the page. What is it you stand for? Just a couple of minutes, turn to each other and discuss that. Ready? Go. Okay. Let's have some shout-outs. What do you stand for? Let's have some shout-outs. Yes.
Helping the world reconnect.
Helping the world, I love that. Reconnect. How? Facebook feel like they're already doing that.
In reality.
I like that. Good. What else? What do you stand for?
Helping humanity live in harmony and balance with ourselves and with the planet.
Fabulous. Yes, Michelle.
Encouraging people not to worry about what other people think and just live your life to the fullest.
Excellent. Good. Gates.
Understanding yourself through food.
Understand. Fabulous. Ooh, that's changed. I like that. Understand. Yeah, Shaq.
Understanding yourself through food.
Everyone's going.
Understanding your soul through
Oh, yes.
food.
Your soul or yourself? Yourself. Shaq.
Helping business to grow,
Helping business to go.
creating employment,
Great.
jobs.
Creating employment, jobs. Good.
Learning to love yourself.
Learning to love yourself. There's a lot. Isn't it interesting that we're in such different industries and fields, yet it feels like everyone's kind of united in their big picture, like to make the world a better, heal the world, make it a better place. Stephen, what's your big why?
Be a positive male role model to men that don't have one, and to help them become confident in their body and their mindset. Really.
Brilliant. See, and when it's delivered from an authentic place, it's like people just go, yeah. When it's delivered from an inauthentic place, people go, ooh, you can tell. That's what's really nice. Everybody that's spoken today, you can tell it really from an authentic, real place. You know, everybody know Lyft in America, which is a competitor to Uber. Their big, what they stand for, their big vision, is to help deal with the issue of sponsored and the, how can I say it? They want to tackle the issue of cars on the road, right? Because it's actually more expensive for buses to run than for cars. And they want to tackle that. But what they want to do is make sure people don't buy more cars. Actually, people learn to share the drive. And that's actually their big vision. It's really interesting when you listen to their story. You wouldn't think that. You think they're just competing with Uber. But they're not. There's a lot more behind that. So the 5 stories we've covered. So we talked about the pitch, personal story, business idea or origin, case studies or success stories, and the vision, which we've just discussed. What you really want to make sure when you are sharing these stories is you appeal to the different buyers. Does everyone know what they stand for?
Yeah.
Fear of missing out.
So yeah, FOMO, fear of missing out. So there's people out there who buy because they don't want to miss out. Anik, my business partner, God bless her, she's a FOMO. Right? She's like, are you coming with me to this event? I'm like, I'm not sure. Well, I bought the ticket because it was on early bird and it expired in an hour. Sorry, you have to buy your own ticket at the normal price. She's a complete FOMO. Right? Does anyone know what emo is? Emotional buyer. Who here buys emotionally? Most people, yeah? Buy emotionally, it feels good, you get high, like, I want this, feels great, yeah? And you go after the emotion. You know what ASBO is? Aspirational. Well, you've clearly done this work before. Yeah? Aspirational. So that's when people buy into results. That's when people are like, hey, I used to be like this and now I have 17 Ferraris. Do you want my life? That's an aspiration. But it doesn't have to be as cheesy, as corny as that, but someone that aspires, you're buying the aspiration. So a lot of people that buy weight loss products, they're buying because they're aspirational to lose weight. Yeah. So make sure the stories appeal to these different ways of buying. It's very important. And knowing your audience and knowing that they within that, you can tailor the stories to appeal to them. This isn't about manipulation, by the way. This is about appealing to your ideal client in the way they like to be appealed to. Yeah? Here's the thing, whatever you do in life, they'll judge you anyway. There's always people going to judge you. There's people judging me. I'm okay with that. People judging me right now. I'm okay with that too. Stella. Yeah? But they're always going to judge you, especially if you want to do something big in the world. If you want to do something meaningful, people will judge you. Know that, get over it, keep going, be persistent and be consistent. And of course, that stands for take consistent action, right? So, not very bright. How many shows has Oprah done, do you know? Thousands? Richard, how many companies has he got? Richard, my mate. Like, hey, Richard. I'm just calling him out. Hey, Richard. Yeah, how many companies has he got? 30? Okay. Albert Einstein, how many papers does he write before he hit the big time? Lots? Do we have a number, rough?
He failed his PhD.
He failed his PhD, yes. And what about Spielberg? How many films has he produced? Do you know? I'd show you. Oprah's done over 4,000 episodes. Einstein wrote 300 papers. Spielberg, he's directed 63 movies. Branson's over 100 launched, not all successful. Yeah, me, 7,000 hours on stage. Anik, 536 training events and gigs. It's about doing things consistently. Yeah, well, all of Oprah's episodes a massive hit with people crying and viral? No. Einstein, only 5 of his papers that he wrote were meaningful. The Beatles had over 1,000 songs. Were they all hits? Does everyone know who the Beatles are? You'll be surprised. Sometimes they're like, who? Who? Huh? What's that? Seen what?
Yesterday. If you don't know who the Beatles are, go and see Yesterday. It's a great film.
There we go. Right? It's about being consistent and learning and evolving and learning and evolving. Keep telling the story, keep sharing, keep appealing, keep going. And then it does happen. But it's about being consistent. We want things too quickly. One of my mentors once said to me, people underestimate what they can do in 5 years and overestimate what they can do in a year. So when you're out there sharing your story as an entrepreneur, when you're getting out there and building the business, regardless of where you are, it's about being consistent with it. That's how you get there. I think only 4 of brands and companies actually make money. Yeah, and that's been proven. So, on that note, for the last time, what I would like you to do is have a think what your biggest learning is so far. What your biggest learning is from this talk. And just turn to that person in 60 seconds. What's your biggest learning? Make sure you both get to talk this time. Yes? Ready? What's your biggest learning from the talk so far? So, what was your greatest learning? Let's have some shout outs. Story. Good. So at least I communicated what you came here for. Anything else? What else did you learn from listening to that, or your big aha, or your biggest takeaway?
I think talking about your failures is as important as talking about your successes.
Absolutely. Did you have the same thing? You're like, yeah, we said that. She copied you. I heard her. She's listening in. No.
Thank you for saying that, because that's what I feel. To speak about the dark side of business, it's the only way to have change. Actually, we are all speaking about being change makers. To do that, we have to speak about the dark side of business and version and Richard Branson.
Yeah.
And all these flights.
Star Wars. Yeah, the dark side. Jedis. I like it. Yoda. Excellent. Cool. Couple more.
Just to keep on keeping on.
Just keep on keeping on. Yeah, Joe?
Being able to be yourself as an autistic person, I probably have to act virtually every day of my life.
Great. And you learned that from today? Or just generally?
In some areas, some places I've had to be pretty much act. Where I am working now, I can be myself and my failings are accepted and they will be helped with.
Brilliant. That's good to hear.